All right, now I am in the drawing now. We've created, this one is going to be called Block 2 Isometric. So we're going to draw the isometric view of block number 2. And we're going to use a couple of the different uh, tools down here. So right now with my object snap, of course, again, that startup of the drawing, when you come in, make sure you clicked your settings and establish that it's the correct units, decimal units and three-place decimal. Go to properties, make sure that you set all of your color, your line type, and your line weight here to by layer. And then you can go to your layers and create your different layers using the right line type and color. So those are the steps and the sequences there. Now I'm going to come into my object snap, and for right now I'm going to turn off intersection and I'm going to turn off midpoint. Now I could have done this in using my settings as well, but and then that gives me, especially if I have a lot of them that I want to click on, that's probably easier to go to settings and do them all at once instead of coming back, because from here you can only do turn one or on or off at the same time. All right, I'll go ahead and keep object tracking on. Now I want polar to use the polar snaps. So I'm going to turn polar snaps on, and I'm going to set that to 30 degrees. As you remember, with the isometric view, we've got that imaginary horizon line and point where it comes off at 30 degrees. So, okay, now remember our blocks measure 6 inches by 3 inches, are 6 inches wide by 3 inches high and 1.5 inches deep. And in the isometric drawing, even though we're tilting those edges of the block back at 30 degrees, the length of the lines stay the same. So we're going to first start to draw, and I'm just going to go back in. I want to draw my construction line layer first, and I want you to see how I kind of block things into and then use clues to know where lines should fall in these particular drawings. So here is my line drawing tool, and again I'm going to come in. My first point is 0, 0. I'm starting at the origin, and I'm going to do a vertical line going at 90 degrees. Now that line represents my height, which we know is 3 inches, so I'll place that. Now I go back. Notice, because I've got my object snaps on and my polar tracking at 30 degrees, it snaps in at 30 degrees, and this line length is going to be 6. So all I have to do is make sure that I hit the snap at 30 degrees and then type in the length and hit enter. Okay. Now I can come down at 90, and that's going to be 3 inches again. So I'm using these snaps to make it easier and more efficient for me to draw. So I come right back to the end. There's my parallelogram for the front side. Now I go back. This is my depth. So I'm going to go 1.5. And notice this is going to be 150 degrees now, because it's 180 minus 30, which is 150 degrees. So place that. I go up 3 inches from that point. So 3 inches. And I can come back and make the connection right here. So, all right, let me confirm out of this to get out of my line drawing tool. So now you see I've drawn the front surface of the part, and I've drawn the side surface of the part. So now I'm going to go and draw the top. So I'll right click, repeat last command. I'm going to come in here and pick up at this intersection point here. Now again, this is going to be a 6-inch line, and I'm going to lock that in at my 30-degree snap. So left click to place the line, and come in here at that intersection, and left click to drop the line, right click and confirm to get out. So there is where the basic shape here of my block. Now we know that block 2 is cut out in this back corner, so we got to do some things here. So in order to do that, I need one more auto snap to use, and of course that auto snap is going to be the midpoint. So I'm going to click on midpoint. So this is kind of as much an exercise on how to use some of the other tools in here as well as drawing the object. So you're getting a lot of information here. So let's go back to our object line now and draw. All right. So now we're going to place the true lines or the real object lines here. And we are going to start on the top view first. Notice how I've got the midpoint. But we know that there's a line that comes right here at these midpoints. So I'm going to go from midpoint over to my midpoint. And I'm going to fill these in. So this is my object lines here on the top view. All right, there we go. Right click, confirm to get out of it. All right, so I know that that's there. I also know where the lines are over here, so that this is going to be my surface here as well. So again, we'll right click. All right, so I got my object lines on that. Let's confirm out. All right, now I should also go back in because we forgot the midpoint construction line going this way. So let's go back here now to our construction line layer. Let's add that line back to my line tool. Get from midpoint here over to midpoint here. So again, I'm using construction lines to tell me where all of these lines should be coming in. So confirm that. Okay. Let's repeat that because we know that we also have something going on here. So I go from midpoint of this line down to midpoint of that line. Okay. Confirm that. And of course, since we have an intersection here, we know that something's going to be going on going that way too. So let's just put some of these in just so we can see what's happening. So if I go from this midpoint over, now this one should be right at 150 degrees here. We don't really know where it comes in at, so just whatever length, get it beyond that a little bit. I'm going to show you how we know for sure where it comes in at. Okay, confirm that. And then of course we know that we're going to go down to find out where that intersection point is. We'll go down from here. So let's repeat that last command and let's see where it intersects. Well, it just happens because of the 30-degree line here that it's going to come in at the same intersection point here. So where that comes in, and this is just some of the math that's going on here. So all right, so and at this point we don't have to draw that other line going back because we know where that's going to be coming in at too. So all right, so let's go back to our object line. So now we got enough information that we can fill in what the front view should look like here. So let's start. So I'm going to start here at the corner, my origin point. And we know that this bottom edge goes all the way over to here. And we're going to go up to the center point or to that midpoint. And we come back here and go up. So this is what the front surface of this block will look like. Now notice because of the delay here that I'm getting on line, it created and moved that up. Not a big deal. I'll go back and trim that out. But so let's get this now. So this surface back here. Now we come back in. We're going to fill this in. Yeah, so I'm really getting some delays on my internet here. Oh, you know what? Let's go back in. Let's make this a little easier. Let's turn on intersection here too, and that way we got it to snap into that as well. That'll make it a little easier for me to pull this point. All right. There we go. All right. Right click and confirm to get out. That's what it looks like. This kind of fool you. Let me trim out that line that I got that I don't want right here. So I'm going to escape button twice, and I'll do a zoom extent. And let's turn off our construction lines layer. There you go. So that gives you an idea what this looks like. A couple other things here though. So just so you understand, let's go in right now. We're going to go to the hidden line and we're going to draw some of the other edges that are hidden in this view. So let's go and draw this. So we know then that there's an edge that comes down from this corner. And let's just draw a line down. Now, where does that come in at? We don't really know yet. So we'll just drop a line at that point. Well, the intersection point is going to be where we have from this point here going back at 150 degrees, and it's going to connect right there. It just happens to be right there on the same line and that intersection point. And again, we know that too because we can also know what the length of that should be. So let me do this here and show you. We'll trim this line out here first, but let me show you in this corner. We're going to see where these lines come in too. And again, remember, we know what the actual dimension on this should be. So at 150 degrees, that should be at a 1.5 inches. And you see it just happens to kind of line up. And again, this is the math involved with the isometric drawing. The reason why it kind of falls on the line, because with the way we've turned it, it just happens that this object line here is directly over the hidden line that's the opposite corner of it. So let's get this going here, and this is going to come all the way down and connect right here. Notice it's a 6-inch line, 150 degrees. So if you're doing this and you don't get 6 inches when it auto snaps, and if you don't get that to be 150 degrees, then something is wrong there with your drawing. All right, so there's my hidden lines. So let me go back and trim that other one out. So because we don't need this. This is not a line that should be in there, so we'll trim that out. Hit escape twice and come back to my zoom extents. And yeah, we really got some delays on the internet this morning, so taking a little bit longer to do these. Type in zoom, enter, extent or E, and enter so we can bring it in. And of course, there is what that will look like with your hidden lines representing those other edges. Again, I can kind of turn those, can turn that layer on or off. So let me go back to my object layer. And now I can turn the hidden line layer off. So that's what this one will look like. Or turn it on, but leave it there so you get the idea. And that's block number 2, the isometric drawing for this.